Click, buy, deliver. With remote purchasing from the 2-time Motorcycle News Dealer of the Year, Colchester Kawasaki. Proud sponsors of Chasin The Racin.
3, 2, 1, and welcome back to episode 145 of Chasin The Racin, and we're delighted to be joined by Zoe Burn from the UK CLUBSPORT magazine, and it's the first podcast after the Northern Irish tour, so it's nice to be back on home soil, and sat next to Stevie Wonder here.
It's a strong look, isn't it? It's a strong look.
It really is. It's very March, isn't it? It's,
God, it's obviously screams spring, but please keep your voices down.
It's only 9:10 on a Wednesday evening in March.
I know, but I'm still very hungover. Just leave me be. Just leave me be. Let's just crack on. Keep the lights low.
It was honestly, I came in and it was like 1995. I was just taken back in time. Here's one of my mates still hungover at tea time, sat in the sofa like, don't shout. And I'm thinking, you just laughed. I thought, this is absolutely fantastic.
Reliving it, dear.
Thank you for this, Dom. It's given me a right laugh.
Well, that's what I'm here for. Entertainment.
Do you know what? You
value.
have a couple of weeks in Ireland, you come back, you can't handle your drink.
I know, soft shites. There you go. It's watered down stuff.
I tell you what, it's a good time to say though. We had 5 podcasts in total from our tour, and it was a manic couple of days because we've got the overnight ferry on I think it was like a Thursday night, so I left here at like 11:30, got over to the other side of the country for about 2-3 o'clock in the morning. About a 3-hour crossing, 4-hour crossing, something like that. Is it 3.5 hours, something like that?
No, I think. It's 2.5 hours anyway. It was a long trip.
Literally just like
2.5 hours.
an hour and a couple of hours in the back of the van on the way to McWilliams' house, and then we did McWilliams. Went for lunch with McWilliams and Jonathan Ray, and then did Jonathan Ray early afternoon, and then went up to John Burroughs, and then that was a real long day. And then obviously Philip McCallum and Jamie Hamilton. But yeah, loads of positive comments and stuff. And
now you've got me in the middle of Burnham Field on a Wednesday night in the rain.
It's got to be done, hasn't it? I tell you what, I think there's that many shout outs we've got to do. Obviously, thank you to all our guests that actually came on the show, but obviously a massive thank you to the Kennedy family, because we literally tipped up and like Mr. and Mrs. Kennedy were like, who are these weird Englishmen? And like Chris Kennedy's my tattoo artist, Death or Glory Tattoos, shout out there, please give him a follow. We've got to get him in there. And we literally turned up and they were like, what the hell's going on? But that is the Northern Irish through and through. It wasn't. Was
it like the Celebrity Hunted thing? Did you just turn up and say, I'm on the run, let us in?
Honestly, that's Northern Irish people in general. You just go knock on the door and then you're friends for life, kind of. Sometimes.
We're very well looked after, full proper breakfast in the mornings and that. Yeah, it was really nice, and it was just off it's the Magic Roundabout, isn't it, at the northwest? So we ended up getting to.
It's a proper name for that, and I can't remember the name of the roundabout. Oh, well. Zoe?
I don't know. I don't ride round the bloody thing.
You report on it.
Yeah,
you
but
know names and spelling.
You ride round it. It's just the roundabout. I'm watching it.
But anyway, we got a few laps of the course in the van, which was cool.
We've just both been found out.
We have massively. There'll be listeners screaming the name of that roundabout now.
I know exactly which one you mean. I'm just like
the Magic Roundabout, but it's not called the Magic Roundabout.
It'll come to us.
Oh well.
I'll just shout it out at random.
And I mean, we've all been busy over the last sort of month or so. I must say that you look like you've lost quite a bit of weight. You're looking very healthy.
Well, I have. Oh, if we say no.
What are you trying to say? She's unhealthy, like? This is dangerous territory.
I've lost loads of weight. It's stress. It's nothing other than stress and not eating. But you know what? I think I'm looking all right. To the fact that
I essentially starved myself.
Actually, we better not go with that.
Oh, we're rolling with it now. Stress and no eating.
Stress and no eating, but no.
End result.
But I don't want to lose any more. I don't think. Well, I do. But I'm worried that it'll go off my face and I'm going to start wrinkling. Because, like, when you get to my age, it's like the wrinkles. It's like, so we've gone from, if I see a photograph of myself, I'm not like, oh, do I look fat? It's like, oh, God, how old do I look? That's where I'm at now. And you see, and I've been brave. I've actually told a couple of people my real age recently. I told Lissy Whitmore she almost had a coronary arrest, but she's 17. 21's still like old to her. So, I'm getting brave.
Can he? And
I thought she was going to drop the age there.
Not a chance. I was thinking about it's the only people that actually really know how old I am, and not my parents, because they forgot. I think parents give up at about 30, don't they? I think she's had plenty now. She's had everything. I said to me,
Someone else laughing about that, or was it just me? Just me?
Just you.
She's had plenty. Sorry.
You watch on your birthday. You might find your mum's had enough. She might have said,
Oh, my mum
He's
had
had
enough of
too
me
many-
years ago. Years ago. You've had enough.
and I've forgotten the point of the bloody story now.
Sorry.
So.
Oh well. Well,
Oh, well.
I'm sure it was crap, but
we've got in store.
You're looking great. That's the sum of the story.
thank you very much. Thank you.
So the crack for today, we've got a bit of a preview coming up for all things club racing in this country. We've also going to look ahead. By the time this podcast goes out, the first round of the MotoGP will have just taken place, but we're recording this a few days beforehand, so kind of like our pre-season thought on MotoGP and MotoGP in general. We've got a few big news stories that have just recently broke, such as Dunlop going to PBM for the Northwestern TT, so we'll have a little talk about that. A few other bits and bobs, but just a sort of general catch-up, really.
Before we go there,
Just
can we
remember the
talk
name of the
about
corner.
Buff Rousey here?
Hey, so I've been working very hard.
I've come in the house tonight and like there's this sort of Adonis stood there, this monster.
There you go. So, I tell you what, we're ticking all the boxes tonight, aren't we? Well, I'm teeth,
That'll
your
be
tits,
100
and that's tan, isn't
that's
it? So,
Teeth, tits, and
It's
tan.
training for that the strength game, man. That's what it is. We've been, in fact, good place to start. We were down a few weeks ago now. We were down at the London show and
collecting his steroids.
we took
I
down.
think he was, look at him.
We took down the trailer and had it in it's like the motorcycle news London show. It's similar to the NEC. It's smaller and kind of more, I would say, a little bit more race orientated.
On a bias note, I think it's better. Just with the little, because obviously we were very, very lucky to be a part of the actual the flat track show. But I actually broke a little finger. There was carnage left, right, and centre, and it was just, it just gets better and better. But now the one thing I am gutted about. Last time we were there in 2019, we had the Bank Burn.
Yeah.
And that was proper, like, flat out. People went low and high, and it was obviously trying to keep the races alive. But with that berm, the near misses that people had. If you ran wide and someone's coming round there, flat and third, you're thinking, someone was going to die. Like, I'm surprised someone didn't.
For
Must
people
try
might not
harder.
people might not really understand what we're talking about here, but in the middle of the show, like the sort of centre of the exhibition, there's a little motorbike track set up, and at this one there was 8 of us riding little sort of flat track bikes, so Honda 150s. You put your steel shoes on, and basically it's just like
It's a
lots
race
of
to
fun.
the death.
Racing. Barry Nutley's there presenting it, and there's a big TV screen, big crowd round. It's really, really good. To be honest, I think in terms of the difference between that and the NEC, NEC's a little bit bigger, but for me, and I'm not just saying it because we were involved, but I think the having the race in the middle adds like a different element to the show. I think it's very easy at the NEC to like be buzzing. It's like another year since you were there, and you're buzzing about getting there, and then once you're actually there and you've had sort of half an hour, you feel like you've sort of seen everything, where at least with that show, every hour or every hour and a half there's like fresh race and you don't know what's going to happen. It's quite exciting and it just breaks the day up a little
But
bit.
it's in London. I went once and like with Splitlath, back in the Splitlath days, and we drove down in the snow. And I'll never forget, I drove the old Honda Prelude down in the snow. It never missed a beat. And there were like cars pirouetting on the M1. And then we got into London, people were just abandoning the cars. I mean, like, it's just Tuesday up here, do you know what I mean? But there was like really bad snow. We left here at 5 and we got the XL for 3:15 in the morning.
Blimey.
It was just, and I was like, I am never coming to this show again.
Tell you what, after the show, obviously myself and Dom were both down there in separate vehicles, and
Because they don't like each other, do you?
Well, it's a working relationship, not actual.
on the way back, so by the time we'd like sort of pack the show away, and then there's like queues and permits and everything to get in and collect everything. By the time I got on the road, I think it was around sort of 10 o'clock, and then I had to go up to Colchester to drop a bike off at Colchester Kawasaki, then drive up to near Bradford, and then back home. Dom, right, finished the show, got away for about 8-9 o'clock, had to get back home, which is obviously like the full length of the country, and then it was like I think it got home for say 1 o'clock in the morning. 3:30 was back on the road up to Scotland.
To go to
Literally
work.
had 2 hours after that, and
You see, that 2 hours would have actually killed me. I would have just stopped up. I couldn't have
To be
gone.
fair,
I couldn't go to bed and get up. I don't know how these endurance riders do that. Like, I could not go to sleep and get up again after an hour.
I'm built for it. I think you'll be the same now. Are you not the same? Mate, I can...
See, I
can
don't
fall
sleep.
asleep now. I kid you not, I can fall asleep now. I'm like military trained for any... I tell you what, when the Russians step up and they come to England, I'm going to just fall asleep through it. I'm that
So we can
well-trained.
really rely upon our young men, then, can we?
That's it. Herbertson, you're right. But it's from years of double shifting. You know, doing nights or days. I've never had a problem. You know what I mean? It's like if I need to catch some Z's,
Yeah.
no problem.
tell you what,
So if there's any 24-hour races that need a gap filled by a hyperactive little shit,
I honestly
I'm your man.
can't. I've never been able to get my head around how people can like do 24-hour racing and like go and get like an hour or so and then get up. Because if I ever sleep in the middle of the day, I feel like death when I get up. Like I'm like a 4 or 5 hour a night person, but I don't do that sort of sleeping and then I have to have me sleep and then nah.
It's just reminded us of something there, actually. Do you know at the show, when did you see the comments on the video? The Robson Green comments?
Oh, my voice went to shite.
What happened?
Oh, no, basically, I was screaming. I was drinking every night with John McGuinness and stuff. And basically, I lost me squeaky little
Sunday
Geordie
morning,
voice
wasn't it? Yeah.
Sunday morning, and basically, my throat felt like I've been
Is it like
swallowing
Barry
it.
White?
Oh, no. It was like, basically, I've discovered my regular voice is an octave higher. And like basically trying to reach that normal voice didn't work, and I ended up putting this posh voice on. God, honestly,
It was funny.
Oh, it was hilarious, basically, because everyone went through us looking for the shortcut, and it was funny. And like the mad thing is, I don't like read the comments or anything like that. I knew it got bad when me mother got on the phone to us, right? And me mother's going, "Son, what's going on here? Did you have a good night?" I was like, "On about?" She goes, "Yeah, you sound like you had a few drinks and been eating scones with the Queen." My voice honestly was killing us. It was absolutely. But I tell you what. Before you go down that route, we must say yet again thank you to Peter Boast and all his team for putting on the flat track element, because we used his bikes and obliterated them. Sorry, what were you going to say there?
I was just going to say, overall, you know, the event was good, but the whole weekend it was class. Like, we ended up having like a right good time, and it was just really good to be involved.
I tell you what, have you met Charlie Nesbitt?
Yes.
What I am
Not
such.
very well. I mean, I think I met him once or twice. but-
I am such a fan. Like
Really,
I had no concept of him. What an absolute character. At first, it was a bit like I was the only one at the bar having a pint, so I was a bit like shit the bed. You know, this could be. It's going to be boring. And then eventually everyone loosened up. You know, Tim had a pint, then Tom had a pint, then everyone was starting to sip it away, and I thought, here comes the crack.
Right,
kind of
lads.
thing. This is what it's about. I tell you what, we've got to say thank you so much to Lundy for taking a couple of days off work to come down and set up with you. The Colchester lot for providing bikes. John Chapman for providing bikes, which was brilliant. Like Lauren, we've got to thank Danielle. She just grafted her arse off. The pair of them did. And I'm trying to think. We did like an outro. Was it an intro, an outro?
I can't remember.
It feels that long ago. So anyway, Chrissy's obviously been through this list again, but I feel like if we don't mention it again, we're going to get bollocked. But all in all, it was cracking, and got to thank so many people for it.
For the we ran the strength game, so loads of people had to go on the Sunday. And,
None of them will have beaten me yet, obviously.
17.5.
Am I still the worst?
I think
Yeah.
it's-
17.5 someone got, which is like ridiculously high. We have got new scales, and
Hickman tested them.
Hickman back to back and was exactly the same. I'm pretty much exactly the same on both scales. So there might be like half a kilogram tolerance maximum.
Luckily, I'm a girl and I do not really care, but you know, I'm sure it was. That was just cruel making me do that. And with little weedy fingers.
No, like even we had like a strength leaderboard. Was that built by Gareth Henk?
Yes.
Excel Science.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
they did an awesome job with that. So it's, I just can't. If we get invited back, I think we'll be going running down this time, won't we, son? I think it was good crack, wasn't it?
Oh,
good
it was
crack.
class.
I'm
And then,
guessing you had a good time. I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it was just I drank far too much beer and became a posh lad for 10 minutes. So there you go.
don't let him go there again.
I know.
Since then, we've I think that was about 2 or 3 weeks ago. I've had another couple of busy weeks. Have you been up to anything in particular?
No, just I tell you what, been gaining and chasing sponsors and stuff like that, because obviously we did put out like the racing plans and everything on that side of things, and I must mention them. I've met 2 fantastic lads from Cardiff, and here comes my shameless plug for them. EFL Cardiff, you know, follow them on Instagram. They're a steel fabrication unit, but I tell you what, they do some pornographic work, mind. It's not just like my you know, backstreet garage just knocking up 2 bits. It's like, you know, the full glass balconies and like proper posh hotels, and they've done work at like the Welsh Cardiff, like rugby and everything on that side of things. So please give them a follow, and they're kind enough. So Andy and James there, they got in touch after listening to the pod and said, you know, we want to help you out. Obviously, they were looking for you, and I just said I'm Chrissy, and they've ended up chucking some money towards a tyre bill. So don't tell them, don't tell them they've fudged it up. But there you go, I'm over the moon. That's one plug. No, but bar that.
I was going to say, like, when you guys were in London playing about on your motorbikes and having fun, Muggins here sat here announcing your bloody superbike ride, like a fool. Yeah,
it was that weekend. Yeah.
That was a mad day because I had the Dow livery reveal on the morning. Would I get wrong if I said it looked much better than the FS3 Kawasaki? But I don't know.
Oh, do you think?
I like the mat.
I've got to say I'm a fan of both of them, but I think that FS3 bike's personally, I think that's the best looking bike on the grid myself.
Piss boring looking. That does look for me.
Oh, I think it looks class.
What's your best? Okay, take your professionalism totally to the side and your bias, Nate. But yeah, what's your favourite bike on the grid then? Yours is the FS3.
So far out of the liveries that have been out, I don't know if it's just that backdrop that they did, because I thought I do love that bike.
I just thought Dow was like, it was a stupid thing to do because the Dow one just pissed on it. In my opinion, it was like they should have announced. They announced the Dow one, and then it was like, oh, that is fantastic, and then the FS3, it was like, oh, right, because that sort of thing not everybody gets excited about that sort of, oh, look, Kawasaki. We don't, and it's just did nothing for me, unfortunately.
Oh, well, everyone's got an opinion. I personally liked it.
I was a big fan of it. I was hoping, to be honest with you, you know, looking at the Dow logo, it's very much more of a grey background to it. I thought, I was really hoping they were going to go more of a darker scene to it. If you know what I mean, a bit more like matte black and a bit more. I thought, like the stealthy approach kind of thing. I thought, but they've similarly gone down the colour scheme, haven't they?
Ish. I don't think they didn't. I don't think they deliberately made it look similar. It just came out looking a bit like that.
That's it.
So,
no, but the bikes look great on that side of things. But in my opinion, you haven't actually. Which is your favourite then?
I haven't seen everything yet, have we? So
what's left?
It's too early to sort of see.
What's left on the scene then?
I don't know, because not everyone.
Well,
does,
not everybody's sort of brought out the liveries yet, have they? And then, of course, we're going testing, and most of them will be in the black ones.
At the media day, which I think is the last test before the first round, that's when all the sort of official pictures and stuff are taken. Yeah, so we'll go from there.
We get them. They're getting done at Donington, I think, the official pics. So that'll be the magic day.
I will just say, from sort of like the week after that show, I went out to France for a film festival. So do you know the Chasin the Racin? I get loads of people messages about it, about the Chasin the Championship documentary. Sorry, by Dave Baum. It hasn't been released anywhere yet. So we had that film at the premiere like about a year ago. But yeah, it's
was it April, May time?
Something like that, yeah. But anyway, it was entered into a film festival, like a motorsport film festival over in Nice. So me and Dave went out to do like a Q&A thing afterwards. So I literally flew in on the Saturday and flew back on the Sunday.
Geordie straight down to Canfin.
And it was fantastic. I haven't even been on an aeroplane for like years, so it was just nice. Even though it was just one night, it was just nice to get away. But yeah, the film festival was amazing. Johan Zarco actually had a documentary made about him, which was on just before mine.
Did he look worried? Because he always looks worried. He's got a worried face. Even though Zarco always looks worried. So I just wonder, on a random Saturday night in France, does he still look worried?
Does he look sketchy?
Or does he just? He's just got a face that looks worried.
He's got a bit of a beard. Do you know what? It was a bit surreal because they were all obviously speaking fluent French. All of the audience, all of the people on stage, and when I was stood down there, I was like, I just felt super awkward because I didn't know what they were talking about. But one thing that I sort of picked up through the sort of basic from what he was saying, but not really understanding the language, was that I think he basically, when he went to KTM and he wasn't winning, he was like, even though he was making mega money, he was desperate to get away and like. I think the gist of it was he would be happy to ride for free, but as long as he's back to the front, because that's all he cares about, type of thing. And his film is actually getting translated into English subtitles, so I'll watch it when it comes out. But yeah, I mean, it was a real.
See if it was what you thought it was.
It was.
It was in French.
It was a great.
I don't even know what he's been watching.
I know. It was a great experience anyway, and the whole Chasing the Championship thing will be getting released sometime very soon. We're looking at different outlets to put it out on, but it'll be out. It will definitely be out sometime soon.
Did the French fully? Oh, what's happened now? What have I knocked off here?
No, I think it's alright.
I'm just cursing everything here. But so did they play your film like in full Geordie then? You know, if they watch that in full French,
Yes,
do they watch it in full Geordie?
French subtitles, yeah.
It would have been like a hello, wouldn't it? Or something.
I tell you what,
I was pissing by the front door, whatever it was.
because obviously they would have just had to. A few of the audience, I think, spoke a little bit of English, but most of them were just reading the French subtitles. But the questions that they had afterwards were like, you could tell they really, really like sort of understood the whole situation and like things, and like, do you know what? It was a bit surreal, but it was really, really cool. And Nice as a place as well. I've never really been to southern France, but absolutely stunning. Like such a nice place.
What I was going to say was because, I mean, there's a lot of French-speaking members of your family, isn't there, Chrissy? I mean, you must have. Surely you were able to take some sort of advice and inspiration from your dad, who speaks fluent French.
Have you ever seen that video of my dad?
No.
Speaking French, we'll try to speak French.
You need to find it and get it posted on Chasin The Racin somewhere.
Yeah, I'll play it. But we were over in France like years and years ago, and we were staying at this B&B, and there were all French people, and then me, my dad, and I called John, and in fact Johnny as well. There was 4 of us, and we ended up all having a chat, and my dad was speaking this horrendous like Joey Barton French,
Scully or Scotchy sort of thing.
So I got my camera. And, in fact, speak between yourselves, and I'll find it because it is really, really funny. But have you been up to much like over the last sort of month? Any updates on the magazine or how UK Club Sport's going?
No, what UK Club Sport is, it's still happening. I'm just trying to figure out what direction to take it in. Really.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if I just kind of need to sell more or get a bit more advertising. And this is the point where people will ring in and say, that's because nobody buys magazines. And they mightn't buy them, but I have a local news magazine that's doing really well. So people do read magazines, and I have a lot of advertising in that. But at the moment, the advertising that's coming in there is now paying for the other one. And it's starting to cost me money. So I'm sort of working on what ideas do I sort of expand it? Do I go down the UK Club Sport Extra sort of is what I was thinking of, and just bringing in a bit more BSB and everything. Will that make a difference? Or do I go bi-monthly or quarterly, or
a lot of options?
Do I pack it in all together, which I don't want to do, but I can't. I can't keep just spending money.
Yes, you haven't even given the paper a plug there. You've mentioned that you've got a successful paper there. So what's
my Washington Way one?
No, there we are.
Yeah, we like.
There you are. There's the plug.
It's successful because it's free, and we shove it into 25,000 letterboxes. They haven't got a choice. They have to.
That's how they are. Don't make success. So
that's Washington for you. Yeah, make it.
I read it.
But I don't know. I mean, it's not like the Club Sport one. It's just cheap and stuff. Oh, we're in.
Oh God, the famous Marty Rouse here, who will be listening.
This is.
She lived till 102. So our queen is 88, so she could live another 10 ans, maybe more. So Charles will be 70.
She could live another 10 ans. She's. I mean, that's the way it goes. Our queen, she's 88. Our queen, she's 102. It's just the Jodie 88. You should be a bingo caller with that.
Should you?
88.
No, well, you're getting kicked out of the house now,
That
Chris.
should be your racing number, actually. 88.
I think my board's going to be going up a little bit after that one, but never mind.
I'll not be welcome anymore.
That's it. I've never been allowed in.
In terms of, obviously, you come here as a kind of club racing expert for the UK. In terms of the club racing, it's all kicking off very soon. And in terms of like usually there's a few, like say BEMC at Brands or like one of the first early meetings. When's the first proper club race kicking off?
Can we edit this bit out because I have no fucking clue?
Really?
No, we're not. We are. We can look. please do not edit that out.
Don't leave,
Please.
leave it in if you
Leave
want.
it. You've got to leave that in. That is outstanding.
I did swear though.
Oh, it doesn't matter. Hey, look, we're not governed by anyone. That is min.
Do you want to
Checking
just
on your
talk
phone.
amongst yourselves
I-
like you do?
Yeah, Chrissy's dodge here. There
Yeah.
you go.
You can ask Chrissy about
What are
his
you-
local bloody newspaper.
Are you not doing or looking to do one of the early? Is Northeast of Croft or something early?
So
on?
Northeast at Croft is on the
That's the
the
best
weekend.
race weekend of the year. I
me,
love that.
Me personally, I'm biased on now. I think we're all a little bit biased with the North East Club because they've done the right thing. They've kept their head down, throughout the whole, with the whole the COVID. God, it's like the COVID.
I love it now.
Sorry, that's it.
The
COVID.
COVID.
That's
Remember
it.
the COVID.
Oh, what a time. So anyway, the North East Club have come back onto the scene and they are running a three-round championship.
It is me, isn't it?
It is you. You're knacking up the job. I love it. But so the North East Club are back on the scene. So they're going to be running a 3-round championship. One at Croft. Now, the good news about that, I must put that out there. Anyone who's looking to get their license, their race license, the North East Club are covering that now. So you don't have to go all the way down or like down to, I'm trying to think, Darley Moor is like kind of the most local area that does it, or Three Sisters. But actually be able to come to Croft and you'll be able to ascertain your full race license. So if there's anyone listening there on the fence in March, whatever weekend we bloody are in March, get your finger out your arse. There's only a couple of weeks left.
Excuse me, they're all going to be busy at Brands Hatch for the first round of Bemsey on the 12th and 13th of March.
Is that the same weekend?
Is that next week? No. Is that next weekend?
It's only
Aye.
aye.
Holy crap.
So
I
it's,
love those early marches at Brands. I know Thundersport used to do them as well. And you remember Mark Grimes describing the super teens in about 2014. He says, the kids were that cold they were in tears when they were getting off the bikes. And it was just sleeting down. And these little super teens out for the first time on the new little bikes. Oh, Dad, it's too cold. It was just...
It's looking mental, isn't it? I tell you what, while we're talking on like the club scene kind of thing, and the most dominant thing, in my opinion, in any club scene is CB 500s.
Wow.
We've just seen from
Been talking about them for years, haven't we?
well, I'd say it's been a known fact, a known fantastic race series, but I've just seen on the old social media that they've had their No Limits have had their CB 500 only Cartagena trip. And you were
looks
telling
like
me
carnage, doesn't it?
Yeah.
that would be carnage.
It does look mint like.
Well, how
It
much
looks
fun
like
would
it
that
looks
be?
like they're having a great time. There's some proper laughs on there.
I've seen Clubs and Daz are over there, and Gareth Hankinson, my sponsors, over there. And I think he hasn't been on a bike for
Well,
years.
like Gareth
as well.
Hankinson, he's one of my advertisers in my Washington way. You can just put that in.
Good lad. Good lad.
For my
But,
livings.
yeah, it looks absolutely fantastic. Like, and for the price of the bikes and that, it's
Yeah.
just like such a laugh.
But what's that track? I've never been to Cartagena or anything like that. I tell you what, Forrest Dunn, the most factory felt. I honestly believe. I think you're not going to Spain, are you?
No, not this year.
My God, I'm the only. Like, I think you and me are the only people that haven't been to Spain this year. I think that's the biggest problem with social media, because I feel like, here, get the little violin out. There's a really small violin, but that's the problem with social media sometimes, is you get so hung up on what everyone else is doing. And all I see is when I look at social media, it's like I'm the only one not in Spain.
Yeah, but by now I've checked out by now because I'm sick of seeing people. I'm in Spain. It's literally everybody's in Spain. Like after a while, you just blank out to it, and it's like, oh, right, they're in Spain. All right, they're in Spain. And everyone seems to think they're the only ones when they take that selfie off the plane. Yeah, we're in Spain. Yeah, you and half the paddock.
In all fairness, sometimes people go and do like a full winter in Spain and hit the ground running and are really competitive. And you've also seen it work the other way, where people have like hammered testing in Cartagena and then turned it round one and done nothing.
It
It's
doesn't
really,
help you when it snows at the first round, does it?
it's really difficult to say whether I'm not sure how much of an advantage it is, but I mean if you take Redden and Jonathan Ray, for example, Redden's always out on like a track bike doing like track days all over the place, where Jonathan just tends to do the World Superbike tests and things, and it seems to work for both of them. They're both at the top of the game, but yeah, right, it is what it is. One thing that we haven't actually mentioned on the podcast yet is it's been out like weeks now. Taron, the reigning British Superbike champion, had a massive crash at Cotley in a turn
Yeah, he
once.
did, didn't he?
And does he broke his leg or broke something and like been
Broke
quite
something,
seriously injured, and then obviously that puts him back, not just in his physical fitness, but you know, in terms of all of his prep and going into the season's kind of injured. I know he's had plenty of time before, or like a long time before the season, but still, you know, so there might be little advantages to be gained by testing.
How does that actually, because you've been injured before, how does it sort of affect you if you kind of, you know, you're injured, you know you're probably going to be better again, but does it play in your head?
I don't know.
I don't know if you've ever done it, but I know he's been injured. He's with his shoulder and that. The
Well,
other day.
that-
It's like,
yeah.
But then he went and won the
Yeah,
I'll do
but
it
no,
for
I
you.
mean,
So-
yeah, he won the title in October. But does that help him in April when he's thinking, "Shit, am I going to be ready? I'm going to be ready." Is it like an extra pressure, or do you just sort of?
Do you know, if you just took a still of at any point in the season, if you just stopped time and went through all the paddock, most people have like little niggles or some sort of injury in the sport that we do. It's really common for people to hurt themselves. So the amount of people that are 100% fit with no little niggles, there's hardly anyone, to be fair.
No, I was just sort of
no, but,
wondering
like, the
if it was that psychological
Yeah.
as you're going in. You know, it's the new season. It's the first day of term. You're showing up with your nice shiny new bike and your
Yeah.
leathers and all of that. And if you think I'm not going to be there. I just wondered if it was in there. That was all. 'Cause
No.
I don't do it. I just write about it.
I think it's a great question, to be fair, because I think what's good about the superbike element is your limited period. You know what I mean? I think obviously the top money's always top money, isn't it?
Yeah.
So you're always going to have, you know, your talents, aren't you? And like Jason O'Halloran, you're going to have the Honda lads on like stock bikes, and you think, well, there we go. Is that the benefit side of things? But you're limited to your new bike regardless. And you're unrockable as a person anyway. For someone like me,
this
it
is
would be
it,
like, oh,
yeah.
fuck no.
That's the other thing with the BSB rules. The people that are away testing are all on, like, say, if they're in superbikes, they're all testing on super stock bikes. So, you know,
Do you reckon there should be a ban on that?
There's probably a little bit of
No.
there's a little bit of an advantage to be gained just for like sort of bikes. So instead of going to the gym and running or cycling, if you're actually doing laps on a bike, you're using the same muscles. But in terms of testing, you're not testing anything on like a super stock bike with different tires. It's
That was a Colin Wright thing actually, and I remember laughing at it, but I understood what he meant eventually when I was like, "Are we not doing any testing?" He said, "Well, we've got nothing to test, so it isn't testing."
Yeah.
He says everybody uses, "I'm testing." He says if you're not testing something
It's more like
new, you're just riding around in
it's like
circles. sort of
you're
thing.
basically warming up, or it's like a training basically. Training, but it's like using exactly the same muscles as what you're going to use. So you could arguably say it's that, but it's very expensive training.
It's very expensive training.
But yeah, it's one of them. We'll have to see.
I'm gonna put that question on to you, Zoe. Do you reckon there should be a ban? You can't police it fully, but like stopping lads at BSB level, even having test bikes,
Nah.
Why would you do that?
because it's almost trying to fair out the competition by limiting testing. Because at the end of the day, they couldn't police
It's
it.
an interesting. I'm sort of not saying anything. 'Cause I'm just trying to sort of process it. Think
Now,
that's an interesting.
don't get me wrong. If I
find.
was a BSB rider and someone said there's a training bike, you'd go,
you'd
my God, yes. You know, and I'm not on the BSB grid, but the fact that they're limiting testing against the money element, I can understand that. But I think it would just really answer my own question. But do you think it would be a bit of a shit rule, that, wouldn't it? You know,
Well,
if
yeah, I
just
mean, they
went,
might
"Look,
as well just bring all the bikes up, line them up, you pull a number out, and you just jump on what number. That's the
Imagine it.
one. That's it. Yeah, they bring all the bikes up to the grid, and then
Tonight
everyone
you are on
puts
the Ducati.
everyone just pulls a number out, and it's like, right, Rouse, you're on the Yamaha. Yeah,
That
you're
would
on-
be amazing, wouldn't it? Like literally a wild card round.
Chrissy's
When
not.
you get all the top lads.
Chrissy's face says no.
I'm
He's
think
just
it's
even at his school teacher look now, isn't he? He's like, shut up, kids. You're talking rubbish now.
yeah,
We're speaking for the people.
We are. Chrissy's just like. "Oh."
might be an interesting spectacle. I know what you mean, but it just wouldn't work in practice.
And
would it?
again, that was his school teacher.
There you
Yeah,
are,
that-
there you are.
it might work. Yeah, okay, just quiet.
So, all right, go back to the serious questions. Let's get back to the boring ones. How are you getting on with your prep then?
Yeah,
like,
really.
setting it all up?
Really good. Over the last couple of weeks, last week, myself and Alan Towell we borrowed Lundy's van, and we went right down to the bottom of the country, and all the old Quattro Plan Kawasaki gear. They were going to run John McGuinness last year at the TT, but they're not racing this year. But obviously they had all their sort of garage set up and the lot. So we took a van down and
emptied the place.
Yeah, basically emptied the place. Yeah, so we've since the last time we did a podcast, we've managed to source loads and loads of bits and bobs. Gabriel and Alan were also at an auction place. Like they've been there a few days this week, and they've sorted like a wagon thing to like a truck basically to put all the bits and bobs in. And then the bike's getting built, so like everything's basically in wheels in motion, and we've just been mega busy. There's so many things like behind the scenes that need organising and setting up, and we had a couple of days in Lundy's garage setting up the garage boarding in like different configurations, because obviously at different tracks you're gonna have different size garages, and planning them all, labelling them all up, fixing things. So yeah, we've just been super busy, but yeah, things are coming together well. I was over at Croy's the other day watching. Obviously, we're going to be running on Motec. So Motec provides sort of training courses, like online training courses. So I had like a full evening, just me and Croy going through that and sort of trying to basically learn what to do there. While I was over there, went over to Bennett's, put on like a track day, a go-karting thing.
That looked good crack, to be fair.
It was like customers versus riders. Ended up being real good crack, to be honest. Like nice to, there was quite a few podcast fans there coming up and sort of introducing themselves, which was cool. And the actual
do you know what, no one's asked me that for a while.
I don't know, Zoe from the pod. It was just min crack. To be fair, me and Christian were probably like the third and fourth best drivers, and Tom Neve and there was another lad who I think he was called Daniel. They were probably the best two, were battling for the lead, and they ended up kind of taking themselves out. So me and Christian shot through. We got to fit. Christian won, I was second in the end, but it was a little bit fluky, to be fair. But yeah, I'll take it. And it just been mega busy, mate. Mega busy, obviously, with work and all the rest of things. I've also launched I talked about it on the last podcast. I don't even know if you know about this, but I'm doing I
saw some notification on Facebook today, so it must have been something. Was that you?
No, I don't think. I don't think so. It's like a supporters wall.
No, I got something like a thing saying someone's commented on CR support. I was like,
right, yeah, because you're an admin on my thing.
So I must have been, but I didn't know that, so I just.
Yeah, so basically, in the garage, in the box this year, we're gonna have like a collage of people can send pictures of themselves or the dogs, or we've got quite a few dogs already, or like just the kids or whatever.
I'll send her one of me cats.
And basically just having like a
don't
saying nothing.
Having basically like a fan wall. So yeah, that's coming together really well now.
Daddy wants that one.
I've got.
Turn your head sideways. Something might look. Sorry.
You can't take them anywhere, can you?
Sorry.
It's a class act.
But yeah, just been sort of busy with that and setting up a Facebook group and stuff for that. So yeah, proper busy. How's everything with your prep going? On
the last touch of mental scarring at the minute.
Yeah, you mentioned on the last podcast about obviously the plans for the big bike and stuff. Are you making any sort of inroads with that?
Yeah, I'm full in debt now. Yeah, so nicely comfy, wrapped up in debt. So no, the bike's still getting built at the moment, which is fantastic.
But it must be a warm, cosy, familiar feeling, isn't it?
Oh yeah, massively. But I tell you what, while we're speaking, it's a bit like entries are shutting now, and they still haven't released the TT regulations on their 600, mind.
Right.
Still haven't released that. So it's a bit like, am I buying a 636 engine? Are we sticking with the 600s? It's a bit like, and then we're talking about, like, with the counting team, it's a bit like we base everything. Like, we're very lucky that we're all based on the same goal, and that's the TT, and it's like all the other events are massive events, but as a team, that's what we focus on. And unfortunately, the only event that's going to have a 650 race internationally is the TD. Northwest 700. Ulster, whenever that gets fully out and everything like that. But if the Northwest have done it, you tend to find the Ulster following suit on that side of things. That's going to be a 700. Now, I'm not sure about the Southern, mind. The Southern tend to follow Isle of Man rulings, so the Southern
The
might...
Southern will do what the hell the Southern wants to do.
Oh no, the Southern are a fantastic
I
event.
love the Southern.
But I won't be at the Southern with the counting team.
Yeah.
Right.
For obvious reasons. But
I've spoke to a few people that have, because I don't really know that much about the twin class. I've spoke to a few people, and they're convinced that the Aprilia is just going to absolutely annihilate everything.
it's gone from a very confident Kawasaki because they've had the lead development on that side of things. But when you think Jamie Coward and the Bleasdale KTS team, they are the top Kawasaki's at the moment. You know, you've got the RC Express, they're on the exact same. They seem just to appear like they're riding with Rob Hodgson this year, but everything's just been a bit quiet. They've been building bikes, getting on with the job. But they always pull out an absolute diamond of a 650, and a couple of them at that.
Yeah.
That's the Kawasaki element. But like you say, the 660s, it's like everything. They've come through the door, and people immediately gone, they're going to be shite. No, they're starting to creep up and creep up and creep up. And what's going to be interesting is you've got the Fermanagh Rocket himself from Yorkshire, Lee Johnson. You know, he's building up a couple. You know, they've got the right team around him with the right budget thing, and it's going to be interesting to see what they can do. And Lee's like weighs the same like weight as your leg. You know, he's just going to he can pedal the bike and all. So he's going to fly.
Have you seen the size of Chrissy's legs recently?
Yeah, it's two Lee Johnsons there.
Although the Aprilia RS 660's been out a while now, it's we haven't actually seen in terms of like a big. Like sort of any international races or any other. I know it won. I think it was like the Australian Championship.
It's won Motor America,
right?
Because they have a slightly
Every
restricted.
single one's different. All the classes are different.
That's it.
Aren't they?
But Global Robotics have taken on the Aprilia Challenge, but well, not even a but at all. But it will be interesting because Brian McCormick can absolutely pedal a motorcycle. He'll be up there. But, which is a total fair comment to say, he's one of the biggest lads on the grid. Far from, but he's just a big frame.
Is he on the Aprilia?
He's on the Aprilia for the global robotics side of things. But like that's been Hickman's sponsor for a fair few years now, and they've always been around the scene.
They were Colin Parker's sponsors in club racing before that.
There we go. You
Just
see,
get that in. See, I do know something. Honestly, you don't have to edit that bit out.
We're not editing nothing. This is
No,
going
it's
straight through.
funny. I don't mind.
But they've been building the Aprilia since that hit the scene. They were straight on it. They've been building parts and they're getting on it. And the Aprilia factory, they've obviously shown an interest.
Aye.
But the one thing that's always going to pop up on the scene is the pattern. The pattern is a GP bike that they've made for those events, but they're going to be 650. But this is the argument that we're facing with now. We've got two engines for the counting team, both 650, ready for the Isle of Man eligibility. But then it's a bit like, should we go to the... I'll ask you on air. Should I go to the Northwest on a 650 Super Twin when everyone can run a 700?
What 700s? Will there be Kawasaki 700s?
Kawasaki's so a bigger piston in them. It's a bigger bore, bigger piston, more power.
Well, no, if in the past when I've asked you about the Northwest, you've always said you do that for a warm-up for the TT. Like the TT's the goal, but the Northwest is just like a warm-up for it. So if with that in mind, if your goal is to prepare for the Isle of Man TT, then no.
Yeah.
But if your goal is to try and win the Northwest, then obviously you would.
But you see, that is the argument we're in now. I love the event. I'll still go on my BM because the way my timetable's fallen is I'm going to have to do more track. Like I've always gone to track days and shit myself, to be blunt, because I've rolled around going, I don't, save it for the race. I can't afford to repair the bike kind of thing. But to be honest, with the timetable building up to the Northwest and the TT, I'm going to have to treat track days a fair bit different. Don't get me wrong, anyone who's going to go to a track day, I'm not going to come howling up and sit anyone up. But if I get half a lap or a quarter of a lap, I'm going to have to push and treat them different. I am going to have to take more risks, not putting anyone... I've got to clear that up for legal reasons. I'm not going to put anyone else at risk. But I'm
You heard
going to
it here first.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, steady. But no, I'm going to have to push a bit harder. Actually treat... because I'm running... the bike's still getting built. And you think, now we're in March, which is terrifying. And the clock is ticking. So I'm not going to have it for Croft at the end of March. And then, to be honest, I think my first major race on that's going to be the Northwest.
I tell you what,
but even going back to the Super Twin thing, it's a bit like, do I risk the team, the bike, and myself to be not competitive?
No.
but then I'm gonna be like a bear with a sore arse, aren't I? On the sidelines going, "Oh, I wish I'd be 6 foot," like, you know.
Well,
something's better than that. You see what I mean? But if I rod an engine at the Northwest, we get to the Isle of Man.
You're still going to be racing against pretty much the same people on the same bikes as at the TT, aren't you? So it'd be a good sort of gauge, and even just to get you up to speed, it's kind of irrelevant where you are on the positions, as long as you're riding well and you get the bike set up well and that sort of thing. I tell you one thing that I'm absolutely buzzing about, seeing Michael Dunlop on the PBM Ducati, both at the Northwest and the TT. Obviously, it's been a long while since the Ducati's been up fighting near the front of the Isle of Man TT.
The TT.
You know the fastest Ducati lap, don't you?
1:27.
I never
Lap
thought
rotor.
look up. Ah.
So
1:20 or 28.
Yeah,
it's 27:28. It's definitely not a 29.
You'd
When was
expect
that?
that to be Blitz, wouldn't you?
Fuck, ooh.
A long time ago.
I can't even remember when.
It was in black and white.
I'm trying to think, when was it? What was it?
Anyway,
Moving
No, but
swiftly on.
that's the fastest twin lap around the Isle of Man.
do you think how competitive do you think he's going to be on that bike at Northwest and the TT?
No,
Well, Michael's always competitive, isn't he, generally? So
Massively. I think he's lost. You know what, right?
depends which Michael turns up. But actually, no, whichever Michael turns up is going to be fast.
That's it.
It just sort of depends. It's the planets and everything with Michael, isn't it? It's all got to be in alignment. It has to be.
I've seen a different I don't know Michael personally. You know what I mean? I've bumped into, and he's always got time to say hello and everything like that. But I don't
no
know.
bother at all.
Look, I've never met him on had a pint with him or anything like that. But I tell you what I have noticed is how I've got to be careful how I say this. It's not he is so more involved in it now. When he's in the camera and doing speaking for the teams and stuff like that, he's more actually approachable on the camera kind of thing. He's taken that element of it a step further for himself.
But we have seen it before, and I don't want to be. I'm not dissing him at all here. I don't, because I really like him, but. There's a couple of seasons now. Every season in the last few years, we've started with the best. Michael's a different man this year, always on social media, always doing interviews. And it just peters off again when he loses interest. So, but I like that. That's what I've always... That to me is why Michael Dunlop is so special, because he's not on social media shouting, look at me, like everybody else is.
Exactly.
And I like that enigma. Be an enigma.
He's the maverick for a reason, and it works. But I tell you what, though, if anyone... I'm not just saying this, so, you put Peter Hickman is so smooth and calculated on any bike. You don't touch wood. You don't worry about Peter. You put him on a bike, you don't, and that's it's a risky game, and you shouldn't be saying things like that. But you don't worry about Peter, and that's a great trait. Same with Dean. Dean's a little bit looser, you know what I mean. But Michael is a sketchy rider that you trust. You watch him, and he's just the bars are clapping, everything like that, and you just look and going, oh, he's got it.
I tell you what,
not many riders can pull that up. If you saw me coming through Glen Trammon like that, everyone would be ducking over the bloody wild, wouldn't they? Michael comes, it's like, yeah, go on, son.
So that's you coming over like that. I told you I'm away.
When Glenn Irwin was riding the Ducati at the Northwest, it's really difficult to break the slipstream at the Northwest, but he managed to sort of hit the front, get a gap, and then sort of ride in his comfort zone, and he won all the races on that Ducati. The following year, or it might be 2 years, I think it was the following year, when Alistair Seeley was lined up to it, I personally was thinking that bike and Seeley at the Northwest, he's so small. I honestly thought he was going to get the lead on lap 1 and then bridge a gap, just because in fastest bike, smallest rider, I just thought it would work, and it didn't. Where's Michael going to fit in on that?
I think Michael's going to make it work.
Michael can make things work, can't he? That's one of the...
You know what? I want to see it work.
Are you expecting Michael to challenge Glenn at the Northwest?
God, I hope so. I really think I'm not just me. I think
that Honda's going to be fast.
I think
Honda Superbike.
If you asked me, yeah.
Well, so what? Okay,
Yeah,
when we're looking at the history of the British last season.
I don't is the answer to that question.
Yeah.
Do you reckon they can put Lauf are going to put together a rocket ship just for that Northwest meeting?
Well, it's them Honda Superbikes are fast, but also I think.
I said it very simply in simple terms in the UK club sport that actually the Northwest, it is the short circuit specialists that do well there. I think against someone like Glenn, and Sealy before and what they can do there. It's just...
I think the Ducati is probably the best bike, but it's probably quite difficult to get it in that sweet spot. So
I mean, I'd love to see it. I mean,
me too. I tell you one thing.
Best looking bike on the grid.
I tell you one thing. I'm most looking forward to is hearing that Ducati at the TT. Just stood roadside, sing that Ducati singing past.
I'll tell you how it sounds when it passes me, son. I'll give you a full review when it goes. I'll be catching dry clutch with my teeth.
Honestly, it doesn't matter for me. It doesn't matter where Michael finishes on that. I just think the sound alone of that going through, it'll just be.
I don't think it matters where Michael finishes in anything. He's still Michael Dunlop at the end of the day, and it still has. I don't know. There's just something to it. I find that enigma just.
Did you see?
Brilliant.
No, because it matters to hit from the outside looking in. Like I say, I don't know. From the outside looking in, he wants it. And people see
and
that,
everybody,
believe that,
I think everybody secretly wants it as well. It's like you could be a Peter Hickman fan, you could be a Dean fan, you could be a McGuinness fan, whatever. But I don't think anyone would see Michael Dunlop win a TT and go, I didn't want him to win. No, I think everybody has that sort of...
Have you seen Sealy's riding a Yamaha? Did you see that?
I wonder how that's... Is that a privateer effort?
I'm not sure what the team is, but he's been doing the Irish Superbikes last year, didn't he? I think he won that last year, and so he's been keeping. Although he hasn't been a BSB, he's been keeping his hand in.
Yeah.
And obviously, with his record at the Northwest, you would be an absolute idiot to rule him out. Like
that Yamaha's gonna have to be quick enough though.
Yeah.
He's still Mr. Northwest.
He is.
Sealy, isn't he? It's like like you say.
Yeah, Glenn's so good there though.
He is, isn't he?
So good at it, isn't he?
What's happening with Davo and Hillier? Are they both back?
Yeah, they're back with OMG.
On Yamahas as well.
On Yamaha.
So there's going to be quite a few Yamahas.
There was the press release went out the other day.
Well, they've got the Jason O'Halloran. They won't be on the Jason O'Halloran, the McCams bikes that they've bought. I'm assuming.
Yeah,
that is a total assumption. So I'm assuming they're building them 2 new super bikes for these events. But I think...
I think so. I know it got announced ages ago, but it never actually happened. Ellison was going to be doing the Northwest.
Yes, of course.
So he'll be debuting, I think.
Is that being confirmed?
I don't see why not. He's working for Power Slides, and he's a team manager and also doing the Northwest.
I think I might.
Also, Coops will be back. So Coops, after his debut year,
Coops was brilliant.
He was on the podium in his debut year. So going back, I know he's been off a bike after his injury.
Club racing this year.
Yes, I was speaking to him the other day.
He was on that CB 500 track day as well. He's been a busy lad, like so.
No, he's a good egg, isn't he?
So what's he doing at club scene then? Who
he's
are
not
we
doing,
upsetting?
He's doing 600 as well. I didn't write the article. It was one of Aaron's actually. He's got a feature on it. He's doing the CBs, but I think he's running 600 as well.
Right.
So with Emma and Darley and all of those round there.
Yeah, and he's also
not doing the big bike stuff.
He is also on a big bike as well.
Oh, right.
I don't think he's announced it yet, so I wouldn't say, but he is.
But you've just said
it.
No, but I haven't said what bike and where. Like I'm just
touche.
Yeah. But he will.
There's no such thing as bad publicity. Far from it. But
but you see, Richard Cooper is always, when you were talking about before about being one of those smooth riders that you could trust.
Yeah.
He is like, Richard Cooper is always like the sort of, whenever you and him, it's like you never worry if you're watching someone race Richard Cooper because he's never going to knock you off. He's just one of those. I've always just thought Richard Cooper's one of the most beautiful riders I've ever seen on Stock 1000. No offence, Chrissy. But you must know what I mean. He's
inline control.
One of the finest.
Skilled.
If Paul Bird suddenly had a second bike and put Cooper on that second Ducati, would he beat Glenn?
No.
At the Northwest?
No.
You reckon?
No, definitely not. I don't think.
I think it'd be pretty tasty for it myself. Like,
do you?
I think.
To be fair,
you know what?
Well, he'd have a go, wouldn't he? I mean, let's be fair. He'd have a good crack at it. But...
So, Paul Bird, if you are listening, just dig out
get
another bike.
Coops on it.
Get Coops on it.
I think Glenn is, at the moment, or over the past few years, I think Glenn's been the main sort of difference. When he was on the Ducati, he dominated. When he was on the Kawasaki, he won. I wouldn't say he dominated, but he did win. And obviously he'll be going back on the Honda. And to be honest, if I was a gambling man, that's where my money would be going.
I don't know. Honestly, you lot are all like, what's with the Northwest, the TT and BSB and Snetterton. My season finishes tonight. This is the last day of my off season. My season's actually starts tomorrow.
And that's
MotoGP.
MotoGP, yeah. So by the time this podcast goes out, which will be Sunday night, the first round of the MotoGP will have just taken place. So
I think I've got one weekend off between now and October or something, and that's that one between. There's like BSB's quite pleasant in June. I think there's only a few. They've like spaced them out quite nicely, and I think I've got a weekend off there.
are you doing the full 2 weeks at the TT?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll probably be doing other sides if I can find someone to take my caravan out.
Right.
So if anybody wants to
I was
take my
about to say, get
caravan
it.
to the TT, I'm trying to sort this out this week actually.
You're just allowed to take caravans for TT week, aren't you? The rest of the year, you're not allowed
No.
to
You
take
need
caravans.
government permission.
'Cause I took it to the Manx once, and I was like, "What do you mean you need?" They were like, "Oh, we don't have caravans on the island," and like they don't like them or something, don't they?
It stops a certain type.
Right.
Yeah, he's real. So you have to get like proper permission. Tourists, they don't want tourists. That's what it is. So you have to get permission. Yeah, if anybody wants to take my caravan out like a week before, I am probably going to be at the TT for about like 3 weeks or something. So I'll get out there, and if the caravan has to go out a week early, I'll just stop out there.
I'm planning on going out on the Monday straight after. I think I'm at like Alton or Donington, but me and Piggy I'm going out with Piggy, I think. And
Piggy's working. He's doing the whole shift for me, isn't
Yeah,
he?
he is,
He's
yeah.
a legend, that man.
so I'm
One of
hoping.
you can take my caravan to the TT.
Well, I'm hoping I'll be going for the full 2 weeks if I can. Just need to sort accommodation and that's.
Well, you can
I've got
sleep
it
on my
all the-
caravan floor if you want to take my caravan. You see,
So-
we're getting there somewhere.
I'll even let you bring a
Yeah.
tent if you work your arse off at the TT for us.
I've got like, you can see my caravan. I'm not committing to having Chrissy Rouse in my caravan for a fortnight. I'll regret that.
You will, I
When the
definitely.
school teacher starts being school teachers.
But
And you'll regret it because I never shut up.
looking ahead at the TT, I'm so excited, and I think we've asked a few people this, Zoe, but let's have your opinion. Who do you think's going to be the big surprise at the TT this year? Maybe who's not sort of tipped to do too well, but you think's going to over impress.
I don't think you can say it's too much of a for this, and this is not just me sitting on the fence. I just think everyone's been out for 2 years. I think a lot of things are not going to be as they were last time we were out. I do. I think certain people might not. I think some riders are 2 years older, and you get to a certain age in life, and I'm not saying anyone in particular. I can think of about 5 or 6 riders in my mind who are 2 years older than they were last time, and they were already not as good as they were the time before. I honestly think we're going to see, it's the likes of you guys, I think we're going to see the Doms, that sort of level of next lot come up at this TT.
Right.
I still think Dean and Peter are going to be out front. Obviously got Michaels and John and all of that. It's still a 2-man race for me, I'm afraid. There's no point in even discussing beyond there for me. So,
Right.
But as for new people, I want to see you, and I want to see what Davy Todd can do. That's probably going to be one of the.
He's another lad who hasn't announced. There's another top name that hasn't announced.
He's going to be the one that I really, because what he does, sort of how he performs at this TT, is going to kind of
Cement.
yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, because
He's already won in Northwest. He's already been at the... Yeah, like you say, I think this year is going to be a big, crucial year for him.
And I really want to see what you can do following your 10th in the... Like, to me, you get that 10th in the senior or what have you, and it's like, right, so I really want to see what Dom does next year. We didn't get the chance to see that, so...
And like Jamie Coward, and then I think
Jamie Coward, of
Brian,
course.
Brian McCormick, he's had a busy
He's
couple of
been-
years.
Yep,
very
he's
busy.
kept himself busy, so...
I tell you what, I'm going to put words in your mouth here, but I know there is a no pressure situation when you answer this question. But what's your prediction on Glenn's first appearance?
This is the Glen show tonight,
It is the Glen show. No, but now that's on the top.
I know,
He's the biggest
he will
newcomer
still
going, isn't
be,
he?
yeah, I mean... The problem is, it's very difficult. Now, once upon a time, you could say, oh, well, the newcomers... We're putting every newcomer against Hickman as a newcomer now, and
That's
that
the
will
thing.
always be, Like, even Davy Todd, he's compared to what Peter did, sort of thing.
Yeah.
So...
Unfortunately, that's the thing about that level, isn't it?
But Glenn's, he'll be good.
Oh,
He will
God,
be
aye.
good. And I think he'll ride clever. I think a lot of people sort of think, Glenn's a bit daft. He's not. No. He is not. He's very, very switched on, is Glenn. And I think he'll come out. I think he might surprise a few people because I think he'll be, I don't know, I just do.
What about the Birchells?
Oh.
They haven't done 120 mile an hour yet, have they?
No.
Or have they?
I don't know.
How,
See, I don't do
see,
sidecars
like
with
120
TT.
mile an hour on a sidecar. I think that's going to be totally smashed this year. They're opening up a few more corners. It's the first time I actually want to go
See,
over.
I don't know enough about TT sidecars. I'm sure myself.
But when you think two people on a 600 doing 120 mile an hour, that is just
Insane, that,
they have just beyond blown it out the water
Mm-hmm.
as far as sidecar racing around the TD. They are the unstoppable force.
Of course, we've got Harry. Harry Payne's doing his first sidecar
Yeah, and he's-
TT as a driver, right? You know, he's
Jesus.
but obviously he's off to. And this is something that, going back to the clubs, sidecars. Like, I think we were sort of. I try every time I come in here to talk about sidecars, and it's always, you know, but we've lost Lee and Scott. Like, we had like Harry, and then we had like Lee and Scott, like the young lads that were coming up, and they were so passionate and they loved it, and they really sort of injected this magic into the F2s. They brought it to life at the club level. They're all off now. You know, Lee and Scott are coming off to British. Harry's going off to World sidecars, you know. And I'm a little bit worried for where, because I felt like we had that young sort of,
Blood getting into
yeah,
it.
the young blood was coming in. And without those young'uns, are we going to have we might get some new youngsters. Who knows? But it's an interesting one. So.
It will be interesting to see what they pull out there. But what else have we got then? As far as...
MotoGP, we haven't talked about
We actually haven't got to
MotoGP.
the... I've not followed a lick of it.
But this is it.
Rossi's gone. Here we go. There's a subject for everyone here.
This is the big story, isn't it? It's myself and Chrissy's dad were talking about this before I came in, and he's like, "Well, I don't know if I want to watch it. You know, I haven't got time." And it's the post-Rossi era, and what's it going to mean? Because for most of us, I haven't been, as long as I've watched MotoGP, Rossi's been in it, and that'll be the same for you guys. And
So it's very much any sort of sport. Most people tend to enjoy a sport much more if they pick it's either something to support someone or a team. So, like, for example, with football, you're usually bred into, like, you're born as a whatever fan, and then no matter who the manager is or whoever the strikers is or things,
you still that is your
you attach
still,
yourself to that, and you get, like, you feel good if they win, and you sort of on the journey with them. With bike racing, obviously, it's different because you don't really attach yourself to a team or a manufacturer. Unless you work for the manufacturer, I suppose, but you tend to pick yourself, like, hang on to a rider. And for most people, for the last, like, 20 years, most people who watch motorbike racing have attached themselves to Rossi. Now, obviously, over the last few years, as he's kind of faded out a little bit, you still, like, sort of love Rossi, but you kind of you start, like, sort of liking bits of other people. But in all
it's
honesty,
not the same though, is it?
Yeah, in all honesty, like, from being a kid, I've always, like, that I've been desperate to, like, get back to watch MotoGP, and I've had that strong affinity with trying, like, watching Valentino Rossi win, and for me, nobody's yet replaced that feeling, that person. I watch the racing, and, you know, I'll think, oh, he's a bit of a character. Like, I wouldn't mind if he won, or I'll look at qualifying and sort of pick someone that I think might sort of surprise. But there's nobody that I feel like that. Like, I would definitely want to buy the merchandise, and if I could meet them one day, I would love to meet them. There's no one yet that sort of filled that hole for me.
I understand exactly where you're coming from. That now everyone knows I've never been a Rossi fan, particularly, but I was a Schumacher fan. And to me, Formula One, once he started to go off, and it was like the interest goes. And it's, so what I'm trying to say is this is not exclusive to Valentino Rossi. This happens everywhere. You know, when Ayrton Senna died in F1, it's you know, it's not. But I think, you know, I was never as interested in F1 when Schumacher had gone. Personally, that was me. And I think you will have a lot. I think Rossi brought fans that won't necessarily stick around. In not everyone, but I think there's a lot of Rossi fans that'll be like, balls, that's it, I'm not going to bother now.
Let's put a bit of Chrissy Rouse maths teacher on this. In a percentage,
How
many people are going to go? At a guess.
There's no point in asking me about numbers.
I'm slapping it on here. Go for it. Give me a number.
I
Percentage.
couldn't tell you.
Do you reckon 60% are going to go?
To be
No.
40%? 20%?
They'll give it a go. I'd say 40% will give it a go, if
Right.
not more.
Right.
I would say in sort of viewing figures, I think MotoGP probably peaked when, in the last sort of decade, or maybe just before that. Do you know when, like, say, it was Rossi versus Stone and Rossi versus Lorenzo, when it was, like, heated and, like, even the people
With
who
Rossi
weren't
Marquez
really...
kicking each other off bikes and all sorts.
I think there would have been a spike then when there was a bit of controversy, and it's definitely the sort of big ones like the Biaggi thing and the Seti Giovinazzi thing. Even the casuals that aren't interested in bike racing would see a little bit of that and think, oh, it's going to be fireworks tomorrow. I'll stick it on. I do think it's probably faded out a little bit, but it's difficult to speak for other people, you know, especially in other countries. You know, someone like Quattraro might have like totally brought a new fan base to the sport from France.
Screaming it though, is he?
Nobody has though, have there? And it's Fabio comes across. He just comes across as a nice kid. You know, there's nothing unpleasant about him. He's always got a smile on, and but.
He's the perfect motorcycle love child, isn't he?
There's nothing particularly inspiring about him, is there? Now, I find myself, obviously, everybody... It's so because I'm not a Rossi fan, so I've always looked at things so differently as not a Rossi fan. And I used to get quite angry, that there's never been this level of hatred in a sport, in motorsport, that Rossi fans brought to anybody that Rossi that beat. And that is true. I mean, I've been F1. I've never been to a motor race where people are booed on a podium. And I never liked that. And people had different opinions. Some people would say, I remember Jack Appleyard in particular said to me, they've paid to be there. If they want to boo, let them boo. And it's like, fair enough. That was quite an interesting argument.
Yeah.
But for me, it's like, I just didn't like it, you know.
Where's the sportsmanship in it? I suppose.
Which was, I've never seen that anywhere. I mean, anywhere.
But
it's just...
the kind of point of that is, and I think we've spoke about this on social media before, people, if somebody sees a post that sort of makes them angry or like emotionally triggered by it, then the more engaged. And the point you've just made there about for people to like say boo the pantomime villain, you've got to be like really bothered about the race and really love Ross in that case.
But were they ever bothered about the racing, or were they just... You even said, and I caught you on this, you were like, I've looked around and I think, well, he's not really a character. And I'm wanting to say to you, so what? He's a motorbike racer. Does it matter if he's a character? And again, this is the whole, you know, we're never going to get another character like that. And when people have tried, you've absolutely trashed them, you know? Lorenzo tried to do something, you Rossi fans absolutely destroy. How dare he try celebrations? That's Rossi's thing. But that is...
It's fine, though.
But it is true.
He's
it
the
is
original,
true.
isn't he?
Yeah.
So what are people to do? You know?
He's set the bar, and anyone who goes near the bar are going to get
And I'm
kicked
not
off
saying
it.
it was good or bad. It was an era that we'll probably never get. We won't get that again because people have to be kind now. So we're not going to get that. But I mean, every young rider I've met in the last 15 years, who's your hero? Valentino Rossi.
Do you know, honestly, what I think it's going to take? I think if Marquez has like a stonking season this year, gets back on the top game,
This is
right?
it.
And then Pedro Acosta steps up as a rookie and knocks him off at the first round, or has like some big contact, and they hate each other, and like all of a sudden there'll be like a huge rivalry. There'll be the exciting young gun that's taking it to the established rider, and I think something like that would really like sort of...
But you're also, you're going straight down the line of assuming Marquez is going to be the villain, and I'm not saying he isn't.
But Rossi made him a villain.
Yeah, but he's not here anymore, and we have to move on. By the time we get to June, people will have forgotten Rossi. They won't have forgotten Rossi, but we'll not be told Marini's Rossi's brother anymore. We're not. It's got to end. It has to end at some point. So where are those fans going to go? Are some of them going to go, Marquez, he's come back, he's beaten people, he's not that bad? Or are they all going to continue hating him and go and support whoever he's beaten? It's fascinating, and I'm actually really excited to find out where are the Rossi fans going? Where are the yellow fans going?
Say, do you know when you go to like say the British Grand Prix and let's say there's 90,000 people there, there's about 70,000 people wearing Rossi merchandise. Of that 70,000 people, they're all going to still buy merchandise. It's just where they're going to go.
You probably have 50,000. They'll still be in 46 next year. They will.
Yeah, you will.
They will.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
probably, and for the next, it's like one of those.
To that generation course.
You know when you go out shopping or something and you see like the odd really battered HM or Plant Honda sort of T-shirt that someone's had,
But
and
the thing
everything's like flaking off, or you'll see like a TT T-shirt from 1986 on the back of some
Good
old men or
lads.
something. You know, that's what it's going to be
If
like.
you are
They'll be all-
listening and you are wearing those tops, hold the line.
Yeah. The HM Plant Honda ones seem to have lasted really well. So whoever made them, I would recommend. Just thought put that there.
That reminds me of when I used to work at Nando's, and every single time
Like when I was in Nando's.
I obviously used to sit. I used to work on the doors, a greeter and seater. So I would always
On the
have.
doors.
I would have a bit.
He's big enough to be on the doors now. Look at
They
him.
smell like Subway. Fuck.
I would always have a bit crack with the punters when they were coming in, and obviously every time like someone came in with like an HM Plan top on or a TT top, I used to love having a bit bite crack with them. Really excited about the whole MotoGP. I'm going to put you both on the spot and
Fantastic.
Who's gonna win?
top 3 for the championship.
It's impossible to tell you at this point, man.
Can I go for mine?
I hate doing this only because,
Just from his form from the end of last year, I'm going to go Bagnaia
of course,
for the
Pego's
win,
going to be good.
and then I'm going Quartararo and Marquez. That's my top 3. What about you?
You got to put.
I want Jack Miller to do. I want Jack Miller to do it. I want who was it? No, this is the lad
I
on
dread to think what's coming out.
on the KTM. He rode and won the race in slicks in the piss and rain. Give me that name,
Binder.
Binder. I want him to win it. From that one performance, that to me.
That was
is
the one MotoGP race Dom saw.
Actually watched. That is the one race I saw. But I tell you what, I will never forget that. As long as I live, that was just. I've never sat on the edge of my seat for so long.
On his seat, he's got BBBB, big balls.
Brad
Binder.
like riding graphics. He always listens to the show. Big shout out to him. And you know the edits he does. It's like the bloke from South Park with a massive balls in this guy. It's got KTM on the wheelbarrow and everything. Man, I was
you're very
crying.
much going with your heart and saying Jack Miller, Brad Binder.
I don't know who to put in third. You know what?
Do you know another thing? I'm just kidding.
I know, yeah. I want Marquez back.
I
think,
want
you know,
Marquez.
With his
I want
eye
Marquez to win.
injury, his shoulder, everything, his style is just. He's gone through a rough patch, and you know what? He's become an underdog for me. And
I was supposed to
want see
interview
on
him
the top.
tomorrow, but he's.
Shut
he's
up, man.
not
Are you
doing
winding
it.
us up?
No, he's not doing it. He's
that
you having this on?
No, I was supposed to be Zoom interviewing him tomorrow, but he's not doing any interviews, so I'm a bit gutted actually.
Nice
I will
name drop
get him
there.
at some point.
He was
Get him on the show.
He was on a Spanish TV show. I think either last night or the night before, and he was saying. He said that he's been sandbagging in the tests and he's actually got more pace. So
Do you know what? If he came out and because when he is great, but you're asking Mike. I would like Marquez to win because I don't know because he just to upset the Rossi Muppets, and but that's how it is.
Just
that's how
offend
it is.
like 99% of
No,
our
but
audience.
that
Yeah,
that used
that's
to
it,
be a
cheers.
thing. That used to be a thing. The Rossi Muppets. It was like about 10, 15 years ago. It was like it was just that's what everyone used to call everybody on the forums and stuff. It wasn't. No, I don't mean that offensively. If you offended, well, fuck off. Marquez, Jorge Martin as well. We forget Martin, who is not only the fittest, he is definitely the fittest. Just to put that out there, because
Don't
we
you think?
women are without a doubt. Because like they're all pretty boys.
I've never really categorised them.
You see,
like
you
that.
won't. And like, I find because I know now I'm getting old. Because like, yes, I look at the MotoGP riders and I'm like, yeah, they're just bands, aren't they? You know, they're just doing.
Yeah, coming home with me, doing a Zoom interview.
Well, if he was coming home with me, I wouldn't be doing a Zoom interview, would
I
I?
bet.
But no. But you know, it's like very few of them are fit. But actually, Jorge Martin, I think in the media room with BSB, I think we've all had this conversation previously. Because me and Laura used to like Lorenzo. We were big Lorenzo fans, and we've struggled to fill that gap.
I can feel a shag marry avoid competition coming on here.
We'll do that the next time, I think.
If we've got time to fit it in, ask it now, Chrissy. There you go.
I don't know.
But yeah.
But yeah, obviously Pecco as well. I think Pecco is going to be. I think he would probably win it actually.
Right.
He was fantastic at the end of last year, and it's almost like we've almost forgotten. But it was the words I was writing every time because Like, I know how many times I've written somebody's name in the last sort of course. Like, oh yeah, I've written about him a lot.
Oh, yeah.
So-
I tell you one thing that's real noticeable from the sidelines is how much lower the bikes are getting off the starting things. Like when you see them now, they're pretty much like drag bikes, like fully
They
on
are
the
actually,
ground.
aren't they?
And have you seen them videos where the wheel spins and they're leaving like massive? It's really impressive to see like the engineering side of it. But it just seems to be getting lower and lower and lower.
Can I also point out, Scott Ogden, where did you hear that one first? Here on Chasing the Racin.
So you'll be pleased to know that one of our patrons actually picked up on that. I'll get the thing on. But yes,
And that was Brad Ogden, Scott's dad, no doubt.
so Scott and Josh Watley are riding for the Vision Track Moto3 team, which Simon from Vision Track has set up with Michael Laverty's running the team and Taylor Mackenzie's team manager.
Yep.
But your British team in the MotoGP paddock, the only one at the moment. And
Two British teenagers.
I've got to be honest, for setting up a brand new team and going to the test, especially Scott was incredibly impressive. Not far off the pace at all, like in the mix. Obviously, he's making his debut in MotoGP. I think he was the second rookie in the overall standings. But yeah, like right in the mix. And credit where credit's
You heard
due.
it here first.
Credit where credit's
You
due.
could tell when he was fast when he was a kid, and he had that. But he got out of the clubs, got into Moto3, and kind of got out into Spain as soon as he could. And it just worked for him. It was just the right timing. And
You
really,
picked him up from being at Bempsey in the 250.
It was him and Charlie Farrer, and that's what I find really fascinating is with the pair of them were like that all year.
And now one's in
yeah.
MotoGP paddock and
you
one isn't.
think, yeah, it's just.
It was
Roll
Shirley
of the dice,
Bimson, our good friend and patron, said, Zoe, you said Scott Ogden would go places. How do you think he will go in Moto3 this year?
Be good.
For me, I think...
Yeah. Thanks for remembering that, Shirley. That's really kind. I'm pleased somebody listened and remembered that I recommended Scott.
Shirley's actually got a Chasin The Racin tattoo. She's the only one that's got one, I think, at the moment. Got one on her leg. But
Don't look at me like I'm not getting one. I could put it underneath my Honda tyre. You never know.
They are added to the
I
list.
personally think for his debut season, if he can... Usually there's like a big train in Moto3. If he can just finish races and get in that mix, and throughout the season, if he can get... I would say if he's getting top 10s and maybe an odd few... maybe close to a podium, or obviously if he got a podium that would be amazing. But somewhere like
he sort of said he's thinking he can sort of looking at top 10s.
A couple of top 6s, I would say for a debut season would be absolutely fantastic. And good. I mean, good luck to the whole team. Like I say, it's great to have a British team.
Yeah.
A few more questions. Someone said snow must be forecast then, because I said you were coming on, and it always seems
probably is. And do you know what? I tried to think. It's like you come out of it. It's like coming out of sort of like a little time machine or something. Don't know where I'm going to be.
It was Mike Orton, and he suggested what are your thoughts on a sweepstake for patrons? So predicting like MotoGP, World Superbikes, BSB, TT, all that sort of thing. Well, maybe we'll come up with an idea for that, because I think that would be pretty good.
That's a good idea, yeah.
Max Mayer's early predictions on who will be the champions in World Superbikes, MotoGP and BSB for this year. Plus, what's the thoughts on commentary positions with commentators in them being scrapped at the TT? I don't know anything about that. Do you know anything?
Say it again.
TT commentators at the TT, because usually
Manx Radio Manx Radio aren't doing the coverage of the TT anymore. Am I correct in saying that?
No, they are, aren't they? Aren't they still the official Manx channel during the day and doing all of that stuff? But the actual... I don't know. I just know Roy Moore's not going to be at Ramsey Hairpin, which I'm really kind of struggling with. Because that to me is... But am I now guilty of being one of those, I don't like change? But then again, it's such a long lap and it needs... I don't know.
No, it's one of those. I think, you know what? Putting it all to the side, people don't like change. People like, the history of it. I agree with that. I'm the big fan of I like the old school element of it. But in the same breath, we've all got to change at some point. And to be fair to the Isle of Man lot, they're doing it all at once. If they're going to change something, they're going, right, let's change that, and they are going to town on it. And you think that they're almost treating it like a plaster. And you think, fair enough, 2 years off. We need to change this and do it now. They've had 2 years away from it to actually prepare for the adaptations. Go for it.
I presume everyone that's listening will know that the TT are doing live coverage for the first time, TV coverage for the first time. But yeah, if you didn't know that is taking place now. In terms of are they replacing the normal Manx radio coverage with live TV. So is that why the commentators aren't going to be at the same point? Is that the idea?
No, because you'll still have commentary, because not everyone's going to be watching live TV or, you know.
Oh, so they're still going to commentate on the races?
There's still going to be commentary, but they've changed the way it's done, I believe.
Right.
It's been done from the studio. Steve Day's in. I don't know what Steve Day knows about. He might know a hell of. I've never seen him at a TT. I think that's my concern, and that's nothing personal to anyone. But my first TT, I didn't have a clue what on earth. It's not the same as doing short circuits.
Not
You know,
at
I
all.
went off to the TT. I've been doing bike racing 10 years. Strolled into the TT thinking I was Billy whatever. And it took me, even by the end of the TT, I didn't really understand. I had, you know, trying to explain what cognitive body is to someone who's never been anywhere near, or, you know,
Yeah.
people are saying Glen Helen. It's just, it is, to do that, you and I might be wrong, he might know, I've just never particularly seen him there. And I think that's my concern. It's
Big
like,
shoes to
you
fill.
need to know, you can't just turn up and just, all right, oh, well, we're at Cadwell, I'll figure this out. It doesn't work like that at the
It's like,
TT.
like Chris Kinley. Chris Kinley, not only he is outstanding at his job because he personally gets involved with all the riders. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
like,
and Tim Glover as well.
that's what I mean. They
Yeah.
literally they walk into a pub and they're practically a rider themselves.
Are they all still commentating?
I don't.
Kinley's still kicking about, I
Good.
believe.
Fantastic.
Chris Boyd's still involved.
Fantastic.
Who I really like. I don't know what Tim's doing.
So it probably will be a very similar sort of feel, but just like a little. It's sort of doing it in a bit of a different way. What's your?
I've got to give a shout out. We've actually like So they've got the Mike Hillwood Centre. You know, in the middle of the now we've lost a member like suddenly, Adrian Earnshaw. He was a massive part of like the Joey Dunlop Foundation, as well as like the Mike Hillwood Centre for bringing over newcomers, both for the TT and the Manx. And unfortunately, he was an MP. He was part of the government on the Isle of Man, and he one year he gave up his house because it was the Manx. Shock horror! It rains in the Isle of Man. I know, not very often. And
Not in 2018, it didn't.
no, it
That
didn't. No.
glorious summer.
And no, unfortunately, like you see, like Adrian, he was the first one to give up his garage. You know, we had piles of riders going in when the paddock was flooded, and unfortunately, that is a huge part of like you know Jim Hunter, all the Manx Grand Prix lot. You know that is a huge dint in that, and I'm just so. I've been trying to get that in because it was a while ago when we lost him, but he was such a huge part of the mountain course, not just a particular event, all of it, and he'll be sadly missed. So I'm sorry for interrupting there, Chrissy, but I'm really glad we got that in
I'm
there.
pleased
So
you got that in.
there you go.
But going back to that is, the reality is, 2 nights in, everyone will have forgotten what it used to be like anyway. That's
The adrenaline will overtake.
The adrenaline will
It'll be-
overtake, you know, and if it doesn't work, you know, Paul Phillips I'm sure they'll tweak it around. Then they want to do the best job. You know, that's all they're trying to do, is they're trying to make it bigger and better for everyone, and they will not mess around.
Just gauging from social media, obviously we put a post out, and just looking at other things, there was lots of opinions on all the new moves. I would say the majority of them, for the live coverage, the majority of comments and things that I've seen have been positive. A mixed bag. You know, you're always going to have opinions that like bumholes, like everyone's got one.
He's so polite, isn't he?
But
He's trying to say arseholes, if you're just wondering what he's trying to say there.
But on the whole, and personally, for, you know, it's I mean, it's really, really lucky that we live so close geographically to the island. But if you want to open it up to an international audience, and you know you've got a huge market in America, you've got all of Europe. Lots of people can't make it to the Isle of Man for the 2 weeks, but live coverage going all around the world, I think. But then I do understand the other side of the coin, where people say as soon as you start live streaming, it then de-incentivizes people to turn up and at the gate. And there's definitely two sides of that coin, which I totally understand. But on the whole, I think live coverage is a great move.
And it's isn't it like 15 quid or something? I mean, it's just like,
2 weeks, yeah.
Why wouldn't you? You know, I mean, I'm going to be getting it for me dad before I go sign up to that. You know, I just think, like,
for the greatest show on earth.
It is the greatest show on earth, and I'll say that, and I do say that, so I'll say that for you.
Good on you,
the greatest show on earth.
In our biased opinion, the greatest show on earth for 2 weeks, and it's incredible entertainment. 15 quid, I think it's a bargain.
I tell you what's going to be a huge game changer, and no pressure here whatsoever, but I think some of the biggest hitters are stepping up into that paddock. I know, don't get me wrong, you've got the Padgetts, the Honda teams, you've got the TAS team. They've always had a strong foothold and always brought that commerciality into it and made it a really big show. But you've got OMG, you've got Alan Garner turning up with his full setup. I think that's going to be another interesting, massive involvement in it. Feiho Racing.
We've got the Gas Monkey FHO thing,
I couldn't, that was exactly what I was leading up to. If you look on Peter Hickman's YouTube channel, they've got a behind the scenes thing, and the fact that Feiho and Gas Monkey have come together, and his positivity, the lad who owns Gas Monkey, he is on about, we are trying to get this out into a bigger picture. I think with his injection of it, I think it's just going to be, and that he's on about, he's very realistic. You can tell he's a very successful businessman because he's going, in the next 2 to 3 years, the Isle of Man is going to be the
Americans love it though, which is and great. The great news is Mark Miller is coming back to be part of the TV pundit crew, so I'm really excited about that because Mark Miller's I've always said, it's funny. I always say there's people often say, "What's the best rider you've worked with?" And I always say Mark Miller's was the best roads rider that I ever worked with. So I'm really pleased because he likes
roads. Right.
You're definitely not the favourite short anyway.
I was actually going to say my favourite short one, and it wasn't going to be you.
Josh Corner.
No.
There's an inside joke.
No, I was because I was talking superbikes, and you haven't really been one yet until now. But apart from Chris, it's different because it's Chrissy. But when you get a rider that you don't know, you don't actually. But what I do is, you're working with this guy this year, and you might like them, you might not, And I've worked with some bell ends. Don't get me wrong, I work with Chrissy now because we choose that way. But
well saved.
No, I mean, but that's true, isn't it? If he didn't want me anywhere, I'd have been gone. And likewise, so I always used to say Kuba Smertz was the nicest superbike rider that I ever worked with, and I think anybody who's ever met him would agree. But Mark Miller was my favourite roads rider because he likes a beer, so I'm looking forward to that.
Is Brooksy going back to the TT this year?
Wow.
Don't think that's been announced.
See, there's
another left hook.
Just with PBM going, to be fair, it hasn't actually been announced he's been in BSB, but if he is doing BSB...
Josh Brooks has got the perfect balance when he goes to the TT. He's the only top-level rider with zero pressure. People don't look at Josh Brooks and go, you need to win one. Far from it. No. You know when Josh Brooks turns up, everyone just goes, he's going to go fast. Not, he's got to make something himself. He's got to do this. He's got to do that. I think he just turns up. When he's getting interviewed and his atmosphere, his charismatic nature, it's just going to try and go a little faster. He's 132 mile an hour man on a Norton. On a Norton. His first year was a 127. Up to that point before Hickman, he was the fastest newcomer. You know what I mean? He's just...
That was it.
He's won classic TTs as well. If he turns up, it'll be for literally the shits and giggles, but he'll upset a lot of people while having his giggle.
A few people haven't. I know we mentioned Hilly and Davo. Obviously, Lee Johnson's going to be going on his BMW, which he'll be. I know he tends to excel in the super sport class, and I think he will in the on the twins this year as well. Also, my boss Croy, he'll be going over.
Of course, I keep forgetting it's
Croy. Do you know Croy's been working? He's
one of the ones I was sort of mentioning earlier. The guys that are
top 6 man, easy a top 6 man,
working away in the background. And
he's been skiing. He hasn't been doing that much, has he? He's
been living the dream. That boy.
He was testing before that, so they went over testing and then off skiing. But testing, he was really he was going really well, and I'm obviously
he's definitely he's lost the weight. He's done it. He's definitely going to be one of the front runners without a doubt.
Absolutely.
He's on a superbike and a stocker, and he's so fast.
It's going to be. This is what it's going to be good.
I tell you what, I'm looking forward to it. It's now the entries are closed. It's now who's going to be where on the grid. The seeded.
Oh, it's the famous waiting for your numbers.
But this is what I'm shitting myself. I was a seeded rider last time out at 20, but because they've reduced the numbers to 50, are they going to reduce the seeded rider numbers? No, in my luck, I'll be out with my seeded rider seed. But I've gone a lot quicker from
You've
when
gone a
I
lot
got my
quicker.
seeded numbers. So I'd love to be mid-pack. I would love to be number 1. I would.
But would you though?
I
Because
would.
that's
I tell you what, I am at that point. I would beg for number 1.
because most riders don't want it. Don't want to be first out.
I've got 15 other lads. And that's the thing about the Isle of Man, if they're passing you, they're on momentum, and you can just. And it's only the last couple of years since having no TT, I'm learning to tow. I've normally
So
been
would it-
always by myself
So
kind
do
of
you
thing.
not? And this is a genuine question. Is it like? Is it not bother you that you've got something ahead as that target?
I think, to be honest, in a race situation, always having that rabbit to chase. Like you come down down the Quarter Bridge, you look up to Braddon, and if he's there, you're on one. If you just see his arse tip in and away, if you come down
Yeah.
if you come down the Quarter Bridge, you're both wheels off, full 24 litres, boom, 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 you tip in, you don't see anyone. The psychological defeat is so mentally draining.
Can I just ask you 2 quick questions? Looking ahead to the TT, what are you most looking forward to? Like the single moment you're most looking forward to, and what are you most sort of nervous about going into the TT this year?
I am the most nervous thing is not progressing, but this is the perfect year not to progress.
Yeah.
I couldn't agree more. 2 years off, a little couple of like you brought up, but there's a couple of little niggly things and that and money and blah 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 blah. But I've never been in the Isle of Man not progressed. That is quite it, and that's where probably my failure will come from overthinking about that. I'm going on a bike that I've never ridden. You know what I mean? But I trust, what the BM's capable of. I've never actually sat on that Gen 4. I've never done this, never done that. I'm shitting myself a little bit about the electronic side of things. A bit like sensors going down and everything like that. But I think I've got the right people around us to muck in. Keeping the money going for that. But what am I most looking forward to? And that comes with the nerves thing. It's getting that feeling back. You know what I mean? Like it's that once you just unplug your brain, that's when the time comes, and that feeling of like coming out like white gates, you're just coming up, the thing's just clapping left and right, and then you've got to blind summit into a raised curb where they actually take the posts out, and your full body's over it. If you hit it right, the front folds that slight bit, and you've done it right when it's about to go wrong. You just tip in, you're on your knee, and it just lifts and buckles, and you step off. It's where the curbs meet, dropping into the estate, and it's just lovely step, and you've just got the front wheel up on the top with the back end lit up, and you just like a BMX grind, and you just and you just slide it out, and you're thinking, oh my god, that feeling of you just can't do anymore. And like in shorts, you're doing that all the time, you know what I mean? It's like that, but when you're skipping your head off a wall, just like, and you think I can't do more, and you just think that feeling, that's what I can't wait to get.
I love looking at his face. Look how I mean,
can't
it's
wait
just like
to
I
get
get
back
I
to
know.
that. It's just that Glen Helen of like Bishop's Court locking left and right, and you just think this is just I can't. Oh, second night, third night of practice, I'm looking forward to.
Yeah.
The first night, you're as colour as that rich energy
I
can.
love
You're
looking
like that,
at his faces on
yeah.
first night.
There's
Just
not-
watching these
there's
guys'
not-
faces. It's
There's
brilliant.
There's no one. Even Hickman will come in with that. And Hickman is the ultimate poker player in this game. Nothing phases him. Nothing deters him. He's consistent and he's fucking fast. But even that first night,
They all look sick as chips on that first night.
the adrenaline dump. It does that. You could go around the northwest for 2 weeks. That does nothing.
I know. I don't. We've
Keep
done
knocking that bloody camera. I'm bloody useless.
we've done this podcast for over 3 years now, and I don't think I've ever asked you this. But
Feels like 30.
do you have? I know. Do you have any? Do you know John McGuinness always talks about like his pre-TT rituals and like mowing the grass and all that sort of thing? Do you have any rituals that you like to do before you leave for the TT?
Jesus.
And the room
Oh,
felt
that's a lot.
silent.
No. It's mad. No, it's just you naturally go through them, but like rituals wise, I'll go. It's a very recent thing, but I always go see my mate Holly, who passed away. When we first started.
Yeah.
Yeah. I go see him.
did you do the first TT? The first time you went to TT?
No. But Holly and Stephen, you know, were three mates who built a team together, like WH Racing, and you know, it was just. He had a bricklayer, a sign erector, and a tree surgeon. You know, and we just went, you know.
Sounds like the beginning of a joke.
It does, doesn't it? It does that, and you just think, you know what, them lads, and obviously the team's still going. You know, Holly's no longer with us.
Yeah.
But us three together, it was just like, let's go for it. And the sacrifices they made, and the sacrifices I made. But you know what? You had three people who just went, you know what? And Holly, I never met him. Never met him. He turned up the Isle of Man, and I was wearing a lid. I'm not going to slag off the brand on air, but I was wearing a lid, and the thing kept moving on the mountain mile. Literally, the top of the air scoops were like dragging it up, and I was getting to the end of the mountain mile, taking my hand off and patting the helmet back down. And I was doing this for like 3 nights of practice, and this little hay bale of a bloke came around the corner. So, what are you whinging at? I can't say, oh wait, this helmet, man, I can't. You know, I was trying to pad it out with sponge and all sorts. He goes, we'll just go buy another lid. I said, I can't afford things like that. And he went up and bought me a lid. It just went, right, pack in your fucking whinging and get on with it. Get on with it. And I just went, and it never moved. And like, since then, I've been on an RI. And I just went, you know what? It blokes that. And then he just went, right, just shut up and get on with it. Shut up and get on with it. And, you know, his last moments were all about, he just like, oh, I wish I did this years ago. And it's like we spent a lot of time, like, he died from cancer, like it riddled him. But I've never met a tougher man in my fucking life, and I always go have a quick word with him before I go to the rock. You know what I mean? But I'm very lucky that I've grown up with people. My dad races, you know, the roads, and I've grown up with everyone around me with
How is he? I haven't seen him in ages.
Oh, he's back in Hungary, so he's had the pin removed out of his femur. Under obviously the medical advice is keep it in, Herbie. but it's a case of he just turns on and goes, well, if I break my leg with the pin in again, they said, well, they'll amputate. He goes, well, if you take the pin out in a break, it goes, well, you'll just break it again, but you'll keep your leg. I'm like, well, duh. So he's just got to take the pin out. So he's a very strong mental man, and he's back on his 750 Kawasaki.
Oh, I'll look out for him. I'm looking forward to seeing him back out.
And he's
and can you tell your mum I still haven't had my Jägermeister marmalade?
Oh, it's
only been 4 years. I've been waiting for it. She's gonna say I've given you 20 blooming jars, and he's just sold them around the paddock.
Totally glad you reminded me. The good thing is she'll be listening to this pod now after the comments from last one, so she'll be reminded on. So,
but you know, I've been eating dry toast for 4 years now.
Dry. So what about your race rituals? Do you have any?
Not before I leave for a BSB round. Yeah.
It's not rituals, but I always used to, back in the day when we were doing loads of videos, you always used to do your lap before you went out. You used to sat, and it would be like, Chrissy would just be sat in the corner, look like he's having a fit. Like the first time, because he's doing like the whole lap, and I used to like that, but you don't. Then like you stopped, and then you started doing it again. So I'm just.
Well, it's funny because like this is kind of where I start. Like before each session, I'm always like here basically.
Relaxing.
This was when he used to have to sit outside with the peasants, and he would just be just sat on his. You'd have your lid on and everything, wouldn't you? By then, I think you just sort of sat on his own. You'd just be.
I think you just find. I think everyone just finds something that I like to do, and I remember Stoner never ever used to like thinking about the race or doing anything before he had to like go on the grid. It used to just like sort of wind him up and get him more nervous, where some people find it really useful to like run through, and like I think like Stoner never used to plan the first picture the first corner and plan it because it would just stress them out, where some people find it useful to like run through every situation, and that like de-stresses them. So everyone's just different. I think you just got to.
So what do you do? Or you're not telling us?
Just different.
I think you were right.
I was going to go back to 55 this year, but
can we go? We'll try next year. Someone else said it.
55 was actually my original number.
What was his original? Can you not remember when he was?
I've only met him the last 3 years, mind.
Yeah, I've always been 69 when I've been like since we've been.
He was Chrissy because it used to work with the fives, the S's.
But G-Cock's already got 55, and I was quite lucky to get 69 actually because Rory Skinner had it, but then Rory Skinner was only 69 because Brian McCormack was 11. So because Brian McCormack's went to Superstock, Rory's went back to his 11, which has freed up the 69 for me. But,
right. So that's the problem. You've started off this whole new life as a podcaster now, son. So you no longer you have to be 69 forever now, mate.
No, I want you
Yeah,
to go
stuck.
back to 55 next year.
There we go then.
We'll see.
I think we should have a poll. We should have a poll.
No, I just
pick the numbers.
I'm a girl, so to me it's just a bit naff.
I'd be over the moon to get number 11 because I guarantee I wouldn't see Hickman at Braddon. I guarantee it. If Hickman's number 10, I wouldn't see him.
Do you know why
Yeah,
Dom
my
is
God,
number
imagine
11?
if I did.
Do you know why?
Why?
Because it's really easy to make with duct tape, just 2 strips. That is actually the reason.
One, done. You're on the
That's-
grid.
In terms of, just before we wrap things up,
It can't get
in
any
terms
better
of,
than
is there anything sort of new coming to club racing this year, or is there literally any news?
that. Well, there is. We should have talked about Tony Scott's GP2 class, actually. but
Where's he
we
running
didn't.
that?
Bemsey.
Is he?
That was the... I haven't
Right.
checked his...
How many people are in that then?
I don't know, because I didn't do it.
So
obviously, but
basically,
he
Tony
had
Scott.
a really good interview with Aaron, did it in the... Because anything technical like that, I said, I could do that. It's nice. Fit men, nice pictures. Yeah, I'll do that. But,
I'll cover that
So
out.
basically, Tony Scott runs a business, T3 Racing. They used to run the Triumph Triple Challenge
Yep.
years ago. Since the Triumph Triple Challenge packed in 2014, 15, something like that, Tony's been basically committed his whole time and energy into. He really believes in prototype racing, and prototype racing in the UK is pretty much non-existent once you get past the Moto 3 bike. So he's developed his own Moto 2 chassis and bike. It was based on a Triumph engine, and everyone thought he was nuts when he first started making a Moto 2 bike with a Triumph engine, because at the time they were all Hondas, but then obviously the World Championship all
stepped
became
up, yeah.
Triumph, so it sort of fitted in nicely. And the Spirit bike that he ran a few times, like Seeley's been on it and been really competitive. I think
Mason
is
Law
that
was on
the
it,
one
wasn't it?
Mason Law was on when he won the GP2 championship. So they've been sort of prototyping it and trying it at GP2 level, like sort of super sport level for a while. But I wasn't actually aware that he was setting up a series at Bempsey. But
yeah, he's been working with Bemsey, because I'm quite interested in that. It's like, how will it work? Is it going to fly? Is anybody actually interested in...
well, we'll see.
I know we're going to stay. I find it quite fascinating to start that in club racing, in a good way, because it's...
I mean, it's a hell of a bit of engineering, but the problem just comes down to the cost. You know, when you go,
Cheddar.
it's really weird when you go to Spain. It's so deprived economically, like in terms of the cities and the towns, and like everything's pretty much like in terms of the GDP is like so much lower than in the UK. Yet when you go to a CV round, they've all like there's grids and grids of like kids riding like 80,000-90,000 pound bikes. It's like a mismatch type of thing, where in the UK it's all production bikes, and you know from what tends to happen is kids start out on mini GP bikes, they step up, they maybe can squeeze 1 year on a Moto 3 bike, and then if they don't go to Spain, they've got then the next route is to go to Super Sport and either go World Super Sport and World Super Bikes, or go BSB and then jump across. There isn't any prototype option to keep going in the UK. So Tony Scott's sort of trying to fill that gap. I'll be interested to keep a tabs on it and see how it comes on. You're obviously you're going to struggle to attract the caliber of rider that he probably wants in the series running at a club event, because most people, like we've talked before, have that thing about being at BSB. Now, if that championship comes to BSB, and it's separate from the GP2 class, if it's a one make series on a prototype bike, if they can keep the costs sensible, I think it'll be a good championship.
Yeah, I'm interested in seeing how it sort of develops. I think I'm more interested in where we go beyond this year with it sort of thing, and what sort of it
Yeah,
does.
I'll keep tabs on
It's
that.
nice to see it happening. So I think any sort of new developments, especially at the club end, it's going to feed in at some point. So it'll be interesting to see how that goes.
Excellent. And have we got anything else to wrap things up?
Exciting times ahead. Entries are shutting, entries are open, it's all happening. So
My season starts tomorrow.
I was about to say, and our job should be a little bit easier now, Chrissy. We've actually
And
got
by the
stuff to
time
talk
this
about.
comes out, people will know whether or not who's won the first MotoGP race, and whether or not we're all just idiots.
Can I push you both for who's gonna win BSB and who's gonna win World Superbikes?
Oh, it's a bit soon.
Right.
What, the championships?
Yeah.
I want Johnny Ray to win it again.
Yeah. World
For World
Superbikes.
Superbikes. This is me what I want. I want Johnny Ray to win
I
it.
don't know whether I want. I think I like Johnny, but do I want Scott to win it? I don't know. You see, you forgot Scott was there, didn't you?
Yeah,
Do you think Scott's got a realistic chance on a BM?
No.
No. I don't know.
I think as a rider, obviously.
As a rider he has.
Obviously. But no.
Fair enough. BSB?
BSB. Oh, it's far too soon.
To be fair, we haven't had the full
I
entry
suppose
list out, but
ask me after testing. Yeah, there's a couple on.
I'd expect.
What do you think? What are you thinking? Chrissy Rouse? Is he going to win it?
I think.
Oh God, you
I
better
don't
win.
want
No,
one of
mate,
the Yams. I
mate,
want someone else
mate,
to win.
Mate, you have to win a race this year. That is the pressure from me. No, don't shake your head at me. If it's wet sunshine, you feel it, son. You go for it. I'm desperate.
I think for me,
I'm not being funny, but people who want to download this have downloaded this, and people are believing in you, and I want them to rally up and just go, please win a fucking race.
I think I'm looking forward to seeing how Haslam gets on. Obviously,
You know what I mean?
coming back from World Superbikes
Yeah.
on the Kawasaki, I think he is going to be very strong and he's going to have real good support. I think O'Halloran's going to be really strong.
Oh, God, yeah.
It's rumoured that Sykesy might be coming back. It'll be interesting to see how he
Well,
gets
that's
on.
it. I mean, if he's coming back, that's what I want to see. You know, I'm really interested in how he gets on.
I do think the Bradley Rain and
I think they'll go well.
Then-
I think
Kyle Ride, I think them two will be strong on
But
the
they're
Yamahas.
not on the level of Sykes and Haslam. Sorry, not a chance.
Don't think?
No.
Right.
And that's not, they are not, and I'm not saying they never will be, but they are not.
Is that experience talking?
Yes, it's just, they're just, sorry, no. No. You know, and I mean, they are both decent riders, but you can't compare those two to the two that we've just said.
I think
no.
it's definitely going to be a tasty year in British Superbikes.
I mean,
isn't it? It's just-
O'Halloran is going to be going for that. I mean, he is surely, I mean, everyone wants it, but God, he must really, really want that, mustn't he?
Will he
That's
show
it.
his hand early? Because last season we saw what he did, and it was just like Jesus wept. He won it twice over, didn't he? Before the showdown.
Yeah.
Are they going to open up the showdown to the full grid this year? 'Cause it's going to be that good.
Top 8. I presume they'll be sticking with top 8, but I don't know if the regs have actually been released yet, so we'll have to keep an eye on that.
Because when's the first test? Do we say this off air or on air?
Yes.
25th,
I think we
26th,
said it off
27th,
air, but it is. It's the end of this month.
Same weekend as Croft, isn't it? So
Yeah,
is that the
that's it.
first test in Snet? Were you?
Set.
Oh, mint! Bring your blades for the
I
ice
don't
rink.
think I've ever been to Snet in March. I went in October a couple of times for Thundersport, but
Well, you won't need to bring your skirt. Anyway, put it that way. I hope I'm wrong, mate. I hope it's blaring off for you.
well, it's not going to be, is
you
it?
you never know this could
Well,
be
basically,
there.
once
warming.
once testing starts, we've got a couple of days and then back, a week and then back, and then first round. So yeah, very exciting. Just before we wrap up the podcast, obviously the world's in a bit of a crazy place at the moment with the whole Ukraine-Russia thing.
COVID out,
let's
watch her
try
in.
and,
Yeah,
just
World War
was,
III.
If anyone is obviously listening from any of that part of the world,
where are we heading here?
I tell you what, no, because
we'll hope that it gets solved, and there will be people listening to this that are in like a real sort of a bit of a shit position. So yeah, let's kind of hope that it doesn't escalate and things sort of get under control, because it is a very
Volatile.
and-
Volatile's the word, wasn't it? Yeah.
So yeah.
Imagine where us three are sitting in a trailer and the button gets hit.
There might be nothing out there when we go out here.
That's
This
Lundy's
might be-
quality building. That there we are. Just come back, Jesus wept. But no, you're right though, Chris. You know what I mean? It's Jesus.
I
not
know
even-
we're all sat here having a laugh, and it's like.
But
actually,
it's if you actually stop to think about it, which we're not going to do, it's terrifying. You know what I mean? But there
I
we
know
go.
we've ended on a note of doom.
On that note, we'd just like to say massive thank you to our sponsors, Colchester Kawasaki, and to our patrons. And looking forward to the podcast next week. And like I say, the season's just around the corner, mega exciting. And whatever direction you go with the UK Club Sport, we'll obviously wish you all the best. And
Thank you very much.
Look forward to catching up sometime soon.
Cool. Thanks for having
Catch you
me.
later on. See you in a bit.
See you.
Take care.
Click, buy, deliver. With remote purchasing from the two-time Motorcycle News Dealer of the Year, Colchester Kawasaki. Proud sponsors of Chasin The Racin.